तव कथामृतं तप्तजीवनं कविभिरीडितं कल्मषापहं श्रवणमङ्गलं श्रीमदाततं भुवि गृह्णन्ति ये भुरिदा जनाः। Let us resume our discussion on Sri Ramakrishna's spiritual discourses with his intimate devotees in his residence at Dakshineshwar temple premises on 22nd February 1885 on the occasion of the birthday celebration of Sri Ramakrishna, the public celebration which used to call for the birthday being celebrated especially for the convenience of the devotees, householder people, those who are not able to come to Sri Ramakrishna on weekdays. So it is being arranged on a Sunday. This appears in the 5th volume of the original Bengali presentation, Sri Sri Ramakrishna Kathamrita 5, 16th chapter, in the second volume of the Hindi translation. Hindi translation, Sri Ramakrishna Bachanamrit 206.3, chapter 106, and under chapter 32 of the English translation, the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. Now, as I said already, that the advent of Sri Ramakrishna as an incarnation of God is a unique event in the history of spirituality in the entire world. God descends for the entire humanity, but this time it appears that God has descended especially for the householder devotees. It's a paradox. So far the householders, the people engaged in the worldly affairs, were considered the people of the second grade. They are not the top priority. Top priority are those who are saints, who full time concentrate on God and who are very close to God. And those who are engaged in various mundane activities, duties, responsibilities, they are far away from God. They will gradually proceed towards the first grade. But here we find the householders are on priority. The proof is, we have never heard that a birthday is being celebrated for the convenience of the devotees. Birthday will be governed by the almanac. पंचांग अनुसार जन्म तिथि होगी. जो गृहस्थ भक्तों के लिए जन्म तिथि का जो दिनांक बदलने का कोई मतलब नहीं होता है. But why Sri Ramakrishna did? Because in his eyes the householders are on top priority, on the top list. He especially come to show him the way, that while being engaged in the worldly activities, how they can realize God in this life. That is the unique message he wants to give. That's why the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna is so relevant for us, for the common people. And देखिए जो usually the that mutt, mandir, etc. are established on places of pilgrimage. It's a tradition. You go to Vrindavan, there is no dearth of mutt, mandir. You go to Puri, Banaras, these are the places of pilgrimage where every denomination establishes a center. And the devotees are supposed to come there as per their convenience and have the privilege of holy company, worship and other services of the temple. Temples are built in places of pilgrimage, not on the anywhere and everywhere. But here, Sri Ramakrishna is making sure that instead of the calling devotees to his place of residence at the Dakhineshwar, he is going to the devotees' house to spread the message. And our Ramakrishna Mission centers are being established in the remote corners of cities and villages where the people are already staying. They don't have to come. Thakur is going there. And in this particular context, he is giving a special message to the householder devotees. But we have to understand that he did not ignore the other class of people. Those were the monks, those who led the lives of renunciation. They were also taken care of. They are also given equal attention, but not at the cost of the other people. The householders are never ignored, rather they are giving special attention. This is what I want to point out. And here he is giving a message to Surendranath Mitra, one of his principal devotees, who used to contribute liberally for his maintenance. Now, this Sri Ramakrishna, in this date is 22nd February 1885. Then after a few days, as per his biography, he will be having a serious disease, cancer, in his throat, and as per the advice of the doctors, he would be shifted to Calcutta. Now he was staying in Dakhineshwar temple premises. थोड़ा साउंड थोड़ा इको कर रहे हैं, तो कम वो खिड़कियाँ खोल दो, खिड़कियाँ खोल दो, साउंड चला जाएगा. Now he is staying in the Dakhineshwar temple premises, free boarding and lodging. Now when he is required to go to the Calcutta, some temporary residence, he has no means for his maintenance. And by this time, this Mathurananda Biswas, he has expired. So Surendranath Mitra was one of the principal devotees who contributed a large amount of sum by which his rent, house rent, other necessities were met. Now, his message through Surendranath Mitra is a loud message to the devotees in general, that how they should lead their life. And he knows the constraints of the householders. Householders cannot be given a strict moral code of conduct. It's very interesting that so far we understood that there is no compromise on the spiritual norms, like the basic moralities of life. For example, truthfulness. Satyameva jayate. One has to stick to the truth. If you are not sticking to the truth, you cannot reach God. Now, when a person is staying in a householder's life, it is not always possible to stick to the truth and maintain your professional existence. What to do? So far it was thought that spirituality is not meant for you. Either to compromise and remain away from God, or you do not compromise and you compromise on your professional life. Herein Sri Ramakrishna is giving a method by which you can neutralize your compromising measures of professional existence. This is a wonderful approach he is giving, that you need not stay away from your professional commitment, but to do something by which your negative attitudes get neutralized. For example, that we discussed already. Now, why I want to recapitulate? Because we are meeting almost after a month. We met last on 25th of September on and then afterwards we had this Durga Puja, then Lakshmi Puja. So there is the Durga Puja holidays. So we are meeting almost after a month. So we have to recapitulate. Now Surendranath Mitra, Sri Ramakrishna is telling him that I know that you have to tell lies in your office, because he is working in a merchant's office, in a business office, in a corporate system where there is dealing with the customers. Always the strict moral conduct is not possible to maintain. Sri Ramakrishna says, I know that. And so far as Sri Ramakrishna is concerned, he is truth personified. Now Sri Ramakrishna, the representation of God, he is maintaining a strict moral conduct. He is away from lust and wealth. He is a man of renunciation, never compromising with truth. And then here the devotee who wants to be with God, who has some deficiencies in life. So Sri Ramakrishna says that though I know that you are not always telling the truth, then why do I accept your offerings? He is himself raising a question and giving a reply. Why मैं तुम्हारा दिया हुआ चीज क्यों लेता हूँ? मुझे पता है तुम झूठ बोलते हो. जो झूठ कपट बोलते हैं, they are not considered good people. But sometimes मजबूर होके बोलना पड़ता है, otherwise वो प्रोफेशनल लाइफ में असुविधा है. Sri Ramakrishna is telling that you are such a person where you want to realize God, at the same time you have a compromised way of life. This is the problem of the householders. We want a practical solution for the existing problems, not a this hypothetical solution for an imaginary world. Something to discuss. Here, Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna is not a theoretical study. It's a practical application of our life. How with the present condition, with the given constraints, I can realize God. Is there any solution? If it is, let us see. Sri Ramakrishna is giving a solution. I know you have a compromised way of life. Even then, I accept your gifts because you have neutralized your ill deeds by charity. You give more than one. So this act of charity neutralizes such a noble endeavor that it overshadows your other deficiencies of life. This is one point he gave that we discussed. Next, he wanted to know that what is the condition of his spiritual life. What does he do? Now see, it's very interesting. Now, the Surendranath Mitra is not telling anything very very lucrative or bright, you are appreciative. That though he is leading a householder's life, neither he is spending much time in japa meditation or doing spiritual practice. That is the condition of most of the householders. They know that they have to call on God. Many of them are initiated devotees, but hardly they are finding any time to repeat the mantra and other spiritual aspects. Now Sri Ramakrishna is not encouraging them to stay away from God, but he harshly, softly asked, what does Surendranath Mitra do? Now Surendranath Mitra is telling that, sir, unfortunately, I am not able to concentrate on God. Nevertheless, at the time of bed, I remember the Divine Mother, and repeating her name, I fall asleep. Mama bole ghumiye padi. He is deadly tired after the whole day's work, as we all are. So at night, before bed, naturally he cannot meditate. What does he do while lying down? But he calls on Mother, remembers the Divine Mother, and माँ का नाम पुकारते हुए हम सो जाते हैं. And naturally तत्काल ही गभीर निद्रा में चले जाते हैं. So this is the report of spiritual practice. Now naturally anybody would be very angry that what is this going on here? You have told your Guru that you will be meditating in the morning and evening, repeating so many names of so many beads, so many times God's name should be repeated, there should be some prayer, worship, nothing like that. It's simply that calling on Mother and sleeping. But interestingly, Sri Ramakrishna is endorsing. He said that's enough. This is to be noted here. The Gospel has to be read very minutely. It is not a theoretical book. Sri Ramakrishna is endorsing his activity. He is telling here, Surendranath is confessing. The one thing is this, he did not cheat God. He did not say what he does not do. He is at least transparent. So in spiritual life, you have to be transparent. First thing, God is Antaryamin. We cannot hoodwink. We cannot befool God. In trying to befool God, we will befool ourselves. We should be frank. Surendranath had the courage to frankly admit, to accept his shortcoming. What he says? I cannot meditate well. पहले बता दिया আমার ধ্যান ভালো হয় না. That is the experience to be shared by most of us. किसका ध्यान अच्छा होता है? ध्यान मतलब क्या है? योगः चित्त वृत्ति निरोधः. ध्यान मतलब where the mind gets still without any modification. But when we sit for meditation, what happens? The mind comes and goes. Dhyan is a very exalted condition of mind. We know in Raja Yoga, there is 8 steps, Ashtanga Raja Yoga. 8 steps to reach the end. And the 7th step is Dhyana. Dhyana is not meant for beginners. So prior to the 7th step, there are 6 steps. Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana. After crossing these 6 steps, one achieves the Dhyana. Dhyana is far away. Not meant for ordinary people. It needs a lot of preparation. Very easy to say that I sit for meditation. Meditation is not so light thing to achieve. So he acknowledges, I cannot meditate well. He understood. And what does he do? I repeat the Divine Mother's name now and then. That is important. Though I am not able to do meditation, but now and then, whenever I get leisure time, I repeat Mother's name, and lying in bed, I repeat her name and fall asleep. This is all a spiritual report. Now, we are told that we have to sit for meditation with our head, neck and spine in a vertical straight line. In this posture, either on the squat on the floor or sit on a chair, straight, and repeat God's name. What does he do? He lie on bed. We lie on bed for what purpose? For sleeping. So before going to bed, he repeats Mother's name and fall asleep. That is what he says. Now what is the reply? Sri Ramakrishna, that is enough. It's unbelievable, incredible. How can this be enough? When we ask ourselves, we do not certify, but that is a certification of God. You have to understand that what is required from us, what is our requirement. Then we will find that spiritual life is not a thing beyond our reach. Spiritual life is well within our reach. He says that is enough. You remember her, don't you? That's all. The main thing is we have to remember God. That is spirituality. Not the number of times you repeat God's name, not the kilometers you have covered to see the pilgrimages Amarnath and Kedar and Badri. That is not the measurement of spirituality. Measurement of spirituality is remembrance of God. This is the gist of spiritual life. তাহলেই হলো স্মরণ মনন তো আছে, ये हमें याद रखना चाहिए. स्पिरिचुअल लाइफ ऐसा होने से ही काफी है. स्मरण मनन तो है ना. You have to remember the name of God and do whatever we are asked to do in the life. Now, Sri Ramakrishna, after accepting the way of spiritual, the practices of Surendranath, now he says what is to be done. This is important for all of us. That was his individual life. Surendranath, we need not replicate. Each person has to go in his own way. We need not follow Surendranath's method and try to imitate him and lie down on bed and calling on God. What is expected of the general people? That's what Sri Ramakrishna is telling now with this preamble. Now he says there are two methods, Karma Yoga and Mano Yoga. This you have to remember. He is telling here now what is expected of us. He is telling there are two kinds of yogas, Karma Yoga and Mano Yoga. These two methods. Now, either do one or the other or both. Now, what is this Karma Yoga? He narrates, he enlists the items of Karma Yoga. Mano Yoga or Karma Yoga, Puja, he is enlisting what is to be done in Karma Yoga. What are the items included in this branch? Puja, Tirth, जीव सेवा इत्यादि, गुरु के उपदेश अनुसार कर्म. Those who are initiated, the Guru has told them to do certain items of spiritual practice. They have to do puja, they have to do prarthana, repeat God's name, do charity, help the pure, help the poor and the downtrodden, and so on. Whatever instructions have been given by the respective gurus, each one of us has a separate guru, and we have to follow the method given by our own teacher. We need not follow the teachings of others. Those who are not yet initiated, what should they do? They should follow the general instructions of the scriptures. Sri Ramakrishna is Jagat Guru. He is giving instructions that what to do. He is giving this enlisting puja, tirth, jap, is jiva seva, sadhu seva, bhakta seva, ityadi. Charity. These are under the head of Karma Yoga. And then further he says, the duties that Janaka performed are also called Karma Yoga. Now Janaka is a representation of an ideal householder. Janaka was a king managing a kingdom, administrative activities. This is not the job of a saint. It's not a spiritual work. It's a statesman work. The work in the world, management of a huge kingdom. Now, he is called Karma Yogin. Why? Because he is managing all these duties with the remembrance of God. So the karma becomes yoga. Means what? Yoga means we get united with the divine. And viyoga means we get separated from the divine. So all our worldly activities take us away from God. So this is karma viyog. We do work and go away from God. What is to be done? We have to do work and go nearer to God. That is karma yoga. Now Janaka was a Siddha karma yogi. So yoga means, I said, union with God. And that is achieved by silencing the mind. Our mind is turbulent. When the mind is quiet, mind is steady, then we get united with God. This is one method. Mind is called Manojog. Mind is like a lake, some water. This is a pond is a pool of water. Now water is muddy and water is wavy, restless. Then you cannot see what is there inside the water. If somehow the water can be made transparent, and water can be made steady, sthir, then what happens? We immediately see what is there under the water. So God is nearest to us. We are separated from God by our mind. Mind is impure, mind is restless. If somehow we can make the mind steady and pure, then God will be immediately visible. We don't have to go anywhere. God is there already. We are not able to see Him because of our mind. Now, what is the impurity of the mind? What is the pollution of the mind? Mind is inside. It doesn't get polluted by the external environmental pollution. What is the pollution of the mind? It is desire. Kamana, vasana. That takes the mind away from his intrinsic purity. And the second malady is mind is always restless, chanchal. Whenever you sit for a minute, try to concentrate the mind on any particular subject, you will find how difficult it is. Mind is so much turbulent. So the method by which the mind can be made steady and pure is called Manojog, that the yogis used to do. That is called Dhyana. What Surendranath Mitra says, I cannot achieve. That is one method. By Dhyana we see God directly inside. That is why in the Bhagavad Gita it is said, Samatvam Yoga Uchyate. Yoga is Samatvam, equanimity of the mind. मन का स्थिरता का नाम ही योग है. मन अस्थिर है, चंचल है, एवं मन में नाना प्रकार का कामना वासना का अशुद्धि है. ये कामना वासना अगर हटा दिया जाए, मन को पवित्र कर दिया जाए, शुद्ध कर दिया जाए और शांत कर दिया जाए. शुद्धता एंड शांति दोनों चीज करने से क्या होगा? मन के भीतर जो विराजमान परमात्मा ऑलरेडी है, विराजमान है, इसको दिखाई पड़ेगा. सिंपल चीज है, उसमें युक्ति हो जाएगा. इसका मनोयोग, तो मनोनाश को ही मनोयोग कहलाता है. तब मन नहीं रहता है. वी ट्रांसेंड द माइंड, इसको मनोनाश भी कहलाता है. बट व्हेन वी आर कंडीशन बाय द माइंड, mind is in between, we are not able to see God in the. So there is one method, it's called Samattam Yoga Uchyate. There is Manojog. And second variety bataya Karma Yoga. Now as the moral by Janaka, or he says that anybody who is following the advice of the Guru, that is also Karma Yoga. What is that? That we do not try to cleanse the mind or quieten the mind. We get engaged in work. Now interestingly, whenever we are getting engaged in work, mind becomes chanchal, mind becomes unsteady. The nature of work. The work makes the mind is unsteady, turbulent, flowing. It disturbs the equanimity of the mind. You have to understand this. The doing work means making the mind is restless. So then when the mind is becoming restless, then how can we reach God? First question is, you are advising to do karma. So those who are advised to do karma, they refrain from it. They do not want to do it because they don't understand. Karma, how can karma make the mind steady? Karma means that as soon as you do the work, you disturb the mind. Mind becomes engaged, mind becomes chanchal. So karma yoga is this, the technique of doing work by which the mind becomes steady. That we have to understand. So karma is done in such a way that instead of making the mind unsteady, it makes the mind steady. And this technique is called kaushal. This shaili, art, this technique is called the karma yoga. इसलिए इन भगवत गीता फर्स्ट डेफिनेशन ऑफ मनोयोग क्या दिया है? योग समत्तम योग उच्यते, इक्वानिमिटी ऑफ द माइंड. सेकेंड डेफिनेशन क्या दिया है? योग कर्मसु कौशलम. योग इज कर्म डन विथ ए टेक्निक, कौशल, विथ डेक्सटेरिटी. दैट कर्म का करने का एक आर्ट होना चाहिए, एसओपी होना चाहिए, ताकि कर्म ऐसे किया जाए उससे कर्म हमारा बंधन के परिवर्तन में मोक्ष का कारण बने. So that was shown by Janaka, and that is being prescribed by Sri Ramakrishna. And that is the method of the householders. Householders cannot give up their work. So their method is that they have to be engaged in karma, but not in karma bhoga, karma yoga. When karma is done in a way which takes you away from God, that is karma bhoga. That will make you bondage, the cause of bondage of your life, take you away from God. The householders are being advised to do karma with some technique, not just doing work, so that their karma becomes karma yoga. Karma becomes a method by which they get united with God. That is, they have to learn the art of doing work. That's called art of doing work. They have to learn. That is being advised by Sri Ramakrishna to his householder. They have to see, we cannot remain without work. Karma karna hi padega. You may retire from your professional life, but you cannot retire from work. That's what even says in Bhagavad Gita, that we are bound to do the work. Nahi gaschit kshanamapi जातो तिष्ठत अकर्मकृत. कर्म किए बिना हम लोग एक लम्हा भी रह नहीं सकते हैं. We have to, whether we want it or not, we have to do work continuously. So it is better to learn the art of doing work. जब कर्म करना ही पड़ेगा तब ऐसे करके करें ताकि कर्म हमारे लिए मोक्ष का कारण बने. सिंपल बात है. ये जो ठाकुर ने कहा है, एक कर्मयोग और एक मनोयोग. तो कर्मयोग का अंडर पे क्या है? वॉट एवर वी आर डूइंग, नॉर्मली वी थिंक दैट दीज आर ऑल आवर दिस स्पिरिचुअल प्रैक्टिस. इट इज नॉट. वी थिंक वॉट एवर इज बीन प्रिस्क्राइब्ड बाय गुरु इज स्पिरिचुअल प्रैक्टिस. वी डू पूजा, वी आर डूइंग आरती, वी आर डूइंग स्तवा, वी आर डूइंग पिलग्रिमेज, उपवास. These are all we think. It is our it's not karma, it is dharma. We made two distinctions in our life. That one is religious practice, another is that work. Whatever we are doing, whatever work we are doing, that is dharma. That is not karma. That is karma yoga. Whatever we are doing, that is karma yoga. When karma becomes dharma, then it is karma yoga. Dharma means it leads us to God. So whatever work we are doing, it's doing work. So how our work becomes a spiritual discipline? You are doing work. When you are doing the work for our own sake, that is cause of bondage. When we are doing work for the sake of God, then it becomes dharma, cause of freedom. So our mental attitude is necessary. Orientation of the mind, karma remains same. Orientation makes the difference in the result. One result is bondage, another result is the freedom. That affects not by the changing of work, changing of attitude. When we cook a meal for my satisfaction, that is a cause of bondage. When you cook the same meal to be offered to God, that is a cause of freedom. And when you offer to God and take prasad, we are taking that food. One was for my sake, another was for the sake of God. In the beginning and end the same. We are doing the work and we are taking the food. In between, the change in mental attitude made a sea change. One was bondage, another was freedom. So this change of attitude is called karma yoga. That's what Sri Ramakrishna is telling, that whenever we do the work as an offering to the feet of God, remembering God while being engaged in the work. While we do the work, we have to remember this is meant for God, not meant for me. That change in attitude, so that's what Sri Ramakrishna says. Don't you remember God? If you remember, it's fine. There is the main aspect, smaran manan, keeping in touch with God at every moment of life. So you attach God with your work. Let work may continue. We are not stopping work. While doing the work, we are keeping a portion of our mind engaged with the thought of God. That's all. That changes the dimension of the work, that makes that work holistic. That ensures that this karma is being karma yoga. And when we are doing the work without the involvement of our body, then it becomes mano yoga. So the karma yoga and mano yoga has to be understood very carefully and thoroughly, because then only we can integrate both Karma Yoga and Dhyana Yoga and achieve the spiritual end of our life in this very existence. We will continue further in our next Sunday class. Niranjanam Nityam Ananta Rupam Bhaktanukampadhrita Vigraham Vai Ishavataram Parameshamidhyam Tam Ramakrishnam Shirasa Namama. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Tat Sat. Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. We close now with the chanting of the Lord. Please join with me. Hari Om Ramakrishna, Hari Om Ramakrishna, Hari Om Ramakrishna, Hari Om. Hari Om Ramakrishna, Hari Om Ramakrishna, Hari Om Ramakrishna, Hari Om. Hari Om Ramakrishna, Hari Om Ramakrishna, Hari Om Ramakrishna, Hari Om. Hari Om Ramakrishna, Hari Om Ramakrishna, Hari Om Ramakrishna, Hari Om. Hari Om Ramakrishna, Hari Om Ramakrishna, Hari Om Ramakrishna, Hari Om. Hari Om Ramakrishna, Hari Om Ramakrishna, Hari Om Ramakrishna, Hari Om. Hari Om Ramakrishna, Hari Om Ramakrishna, Hari Om Ramakrishna, Hari Om. Hari Om Ramakrishna, Hari Om Ramakrishna, Hari Om Ramakrishna, Hari Om. Hari Om Ramakrishna, Hari Om Ramakrishna, Hari Om Ramakrishna, Hari Om. Hari Om Ramakrishna, Hari Om Ramakrishna, Hari Om Ramakrishna, Hari Om. Announcements. Today there will be the youth program in the afternoon from 4:30. The personality development for the youth according to Swami Vivekananda's lectures from Colombo to Almora, Bhartiya Vyakhyan and guided meditation, Nirdeshit Dhyan. In the evening there will be group bhajan, and since Kali Puja is in the offing, we will have some Kali Kirtan in the evening after Aarti as Samayik Bhajan. And almost after a week we have the Kali Puja on 24th. So in between there will be this Kali Puja vacation will resume after Kali Puja. That is on 30th of October will have the next class. But day after tomorrow, on 18th of October evening, we have a special youth program. Swami Vivekananda's expectation from the youth, a special lecture will be delivered by Miss Nivedita Vide, who is the Vice President of Vivekananda Kendra, Kanyakumari. You all know that Nivedita ji is a very, very exalted and popular and renowned speaker throughout India. Fortunately, she is coming, and we seek the opportunity to let our devotees and youth to see her and hear her voice. A very dynamic and is powerful speaker on Swami Vivekananda and an inspiring personality. तो आई सीक दी कोऑपरेशन ऑफ द डिवोटीज. आप लोग सब आइए और आप लोग सब परिवार सब बांधव आइए. ये जो इन्फॉर्मेशन आप सबको जितना हो सके चारों ओर फैला दीजिए कि विवेकानंद केंद्र के कर्णधार निवेदिता जी यहाँ पर आके पधार रहे हैं. मंगलवार शाम को संध्या आरती के बाद 7 से 8:30 यहाँ पर होगी. You are all welcome. So that apart, we will have the program in Kali Puja on 24th. The program has been already announced. So the whole night there will be puja, and the pujari will be Swami Satyavidananda ji, who will come all the way from Malyankanai, Tamil Nadu, who did the Tantra Dharak work in Durga Puja and Lakshmi Puja. So you are all welcome for day after tomorrow's youth program and also Kali Puja the next week. Thank you.